Hello and welcome to the last part of the Poolrooms tutorial. In this part we will talk about post-processing in After Effects. I should have finished this part a month ago, but I got stuck creating other animations. As you know, I made this scene and recorded a tutorial about it, but as I don't want to stop here, I continue to make animation inspired by car. I mainly animated car driving and finally I collected about 10 animations. Because I'm not good at writing stories, I decide to create something fast and dynamic. These days I will start recording a new tutorial where I will talk about some of these scenes, and when I record the tutorial I will post the animation on my YouTube channel. The new thing is that apart from CG I discovered another method with which I can create animation, which is AI. We all know that the AI era is coming, and my opinion is that we should see how we can include it in workflow and combine it with CG. This rabbit was created and animated entirely with AI tools, and I will talk about that in the next tutorial, but most of these scenes were still created in Blender. I also mix multiple styles. For example, this animation was created simply. I just created a simple shader and made a few cuts. I will also talk about this next tutorial, and let's start with Poolrooms post-processing now. I tell you last time that you should render only this main render and this shadow pass. But I also render ambient occlusion, glossy direction and mist, and you don't need to do this. I made this just for test, but I think only this pass is important for us. And if you want render also these passes, you just need to go to Blender, and here in layer properties you just need enable glossy direction, shadow and ambient occlusion, and then you need go to compositing and just connect glossy direction to file output and create a folder here, and you just need to select this folder. And you also need add this lens distortion because this will distort our image. Let's now open After Effects. First I will copy location to this folder with Ctrl C, so I don't need search, and I will now go with new composition from footage and I will paste this address here, and now I can select first sequence here and just click here import JPEG sequence and click import. And if you see this message, just press caps lock. And we have one small problem because by default this is 30 frames per second, and we render this in Blender in 24 frames per second. We need more time here, so I will go to composition and composition settings, and I will add here maybe 40 seconds more, and you can see that we get more time here. And now I will select this sequence and I will set here 24, and now I will just extend this here, and I will now move this timeline here, and I will go to composition, trim composition to working area, and now After Effects will cut this part. I will now rename this to main render, and I will also create folder to keep this organized, and I will call this renders, and we can just drag and drop this here, and now this is in this folder, and I will now save this file, and I will call this Poolrooms tutorial. And if we press space, we can see that this is our animation. You can zoom this with your mouse, or you can also zoom this here. Okay, let's now import another renders. So I will go with shadow first. So again select this sequence and import JPEG sequence and rename this to shadow and bring this in this folder and in our timeline and caps lock to refresh this. And also you can see that this is shorter than this one. That's because this is 30 frames per second. And just select this and click here and set this to 24. And we can see what we have here. So this shadow pass is just our caustics. And I will now mix this with blending mode screen. So screen will ignore blacks and keep only white color here. And now you can see all these caustics on our ceiling, but this is obviously too intense. And I will press T to bring opacity here, and I will set this maybe to 20%. And you can see these caustics, and I think this is still too intense. I want to keep this subtle. So I will set this maybe to 15%. And I think this is okay now. Because you didn't render these passes, I will show you. Now you can skip this part, but I will show you just how you can use ambient occlusion, mist and glossy direction pass. So I will now import ambient occlusion and I will just do same as before. So rename this to AO 24 frames per second. And I will bring this here. And for ambient occlusion I use soft light blending mode. And you can see before and after we just get more ambient occlusion here. And let's see how this look here. But I used last time maybe just 20% of this, just a subtle effect. And you can see this on these edges mostly, so I will increase this a little to see better. And let's import glossy direction now. So GL for glossy direction and 24 frames per second. And for glossy direction I use screen blending mode. And this will increase glossiness in our render, so I will go with screen. And you can see how we increase this reflection with this pass. You can see especially here on tiles and water. And I think I didn't use denoiser for this pass, so we can see these dots here. And I will use maybe only also 20% of this. And I will just for test bring this to 100 to see better these details. Okay. And last one here is mist. So mist and 24 frames per second and bring this here. So with mist we can get mist in our scene, and let's go first here And if we set this to screen blending mode, we already have mist, and if we press T, we can control how much we want this mist in our scene. For example, 50%, and you can see how we can add easy mist here. And if you want, you can with tint quickly change color. We can, for example, add yellowish color here or any other color. But we can use also this for more advanced stuff. For example, we can add some video overlays here, and I will now create overlay folder, so we can bring here some overlays, and you can skip this part. This is just for example. So if you find on internet something similar like this, we can bring this in After Effects, and I will put this in this folder, and we can now bring this here. And first I will scale this down, and now I will set this to screen blending mode to ignore black colors here, and I will also go to FX control, and I will with levels make more contrast here to isolate this black background. So this is similar like color ramp in Blender, and I will move this black colors here and make more contrast here. Okay, and now we can use this mist. You can see that this is black and white map, and we can use this as vector to control this smoke. So if I set here Luma Mate, this smoke effect will appear only where is white color in this mist map. Okay, and now I can also bring here in mist levels, and I can control where I want this mist overlay. So if I press here, I can isolate and see what I do, and we can now control this map here. And if we now press space, you can see that this is animated because we use video file here. And you can see that we have this smoke effect in distance. And I think this is just for example, but this is not good with the overlay for this. I don't want to use this in closed spaces, but I use this a lot in this example. So we can see this smoke with the overlay in background, and this is much better example. And I use this video overlay also here. Maybe it's not so visible, but it is here in distance and behind this car. Okay, let's see how this looks, and I think I will press T here, and I will bring intensity this to 50%. And I will press S to scale this and make this smaller. But we get this weird edge here, so we can fix this if we use mask. And if we just press add feather to this mask, so maybe 200 pixels, and now this edge disappear. And I think this is too fast video footage, so you can see that how this is fast, and we can play with this, and we can just slower this. If we add here 200, now it's slower, and we can see how this looks. Okay, this is just example how you can use mist past, and I think this is not so good example, but I think you understand point of this. And I will now remove this smoke and mist because I will not use this. I think I will bring this mist pass here, and I will just use this as screen blending mode to add small amount of white color in background, and I will just press T and I will set this to maybe just 10%, and this is before and after. One thing we can do to create volumetric or haze effect here, we can duplicate this main render with Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and we can go here to effects control and we can search for Gaussian blur, and we can add crazy value here for about to about 300, and now we can set this to, I think, to screen blending mode, or we can just keep normal, and we can press T and bring opacity maybe to 50%. This is too much. This is before and this is after, and I can keep this, but maybe not 50%, maybe 10 or 15. And if you want to make this intense, you can use 20%, but I think this is a little too much, but we get this little haze in volumetric effect here. I think most important thing for all post-processing is overlays, and I always try find and collect good overlays, and I made half of job just with overlays. So I will share this file with you, and you can find here all these overlays I use in this scene. So let's first I will back to project and I will select all these renders, and I will go with right click and pre-compose, and I will move this to new composition, and I will call this main footage, and we now just keep this organized. So if you want make changes on this footage, you can always double click and you can open this composition, and you can again play with these passes here and these values here. For example, we can always change these values here, and now we can now we have clean workspace here. And if you don't see these options here, you can all find these options clicking by here, and also for this stretch duration you can click here and here. And let's now bring some overlays here. So I have some sources here, and first one is let's play with this lens dirt. So you can find this on this website or this link I will share with you, and you can download this for free. You can just click here and you can download this for free. And this is just lens dirt. This is just one image. So you can choose any of these you like, and I think last time I used this one and this one because this look like water on camera. So I will bring this one here, And I will bring this in overlay folder, and now we can set this over our main composition, and I will press S to scale this and scale this down. And now if we change blending mode, I think I will use screen, but I can always you can always try this add or lighten, because they are pretty similar, and this this add also look good, but I will go with screen. And we can just press T for opacity and bring this maybe to 30%. And you can see that now we have this overlay. We can see this overlay here, and this look like water on camera. And I will scale this up a little. One thing you can do here, you can change, animate this opacity. So I don't want keep this all time too intense. So I can, for example, start with here when I go in water to maybe 40%. This is too intense, but if I press stopwatch here, I can add a keyframe here, and I can fade this effect after 30 seconds of walking. So I can add here maybe 10%. And you can see that we just fade this effect later. Let's bring this one also. And I will press S to scale this down. And we can add this to screen blending mode, and I will fade this a lot, maybe just 5%, just subtle effect here. I think 10 is too intense. We can see a lot of these details here, so maybe just 5%. But I also use this in a lot of my renders. If you look, there is a lot of this lens dirt here. Okay, if we go here, where is backrooms, we can see that this is too intense, so I will bring this down maybe to 2%, and also this one is too intense. I will set also here 3%. And let's bring another overlay, and I will use overlay from this website, and this is only one overlay, and I will share this link with you. But I didn't use this last time because this have limitation. This is only 40 seconds here. And we can loop this, but it will always go from 0 to 40 seconds. But if you have some short VHS animation, you can use this. And I will just see how this looks. So bring this in this folder and in our composition, and I will press S and scale this down to about 22%. And I will set this to screen blending mode. And we can always stretch this a little if we disable this connection, and let's stretch this little on the axis, so maybe 25. You can see that this is visible only 40 seconds and now disappear. And to make this loop, you can just go here, right click, interpret footage and main, and let's loop this maybe 10 times. You can see that this is all time here, but always start from 0 to 14 seconds. And if you want to use this, I will go with opacity maybe 70% to fade this a little, 50. And the next overlays we will use in tutorial is from this guy, Jake Bartlett. And I found this on Skillshare. So if you don't have profile on Skillshare, I will share this link with you. And this is my profile. You can find here some of my tutorials. Also, if you register with from this link, you get 1 month for free. And then you can find this guy. And I found this overlays on this tutorial here. VHS look in After Effects. If you click here, you can here on project and resources, you can download this here. And this is how this look. And this VHS tutorial is the best VHS tutorial I found. And if you make a profile on Skillshare, you can, my recommendation is to watch this tutorial and you can learn a lot of things here. But for now we will use this overlay, so I will start with this one. So we can bring this in After Effects. And let's bring one here and let's see how this looks. So let's press S to see how, this is original VHS resolution, this one. So this match perfectly with our resolution, and I will now maybe go to screen blending mode to keep only white colors, and I will go with 50% of opacity maybe. And let's see how this looks. Our After Effects now become a little slow, and if you want you can bring resolution to half, and now should be a little faster. Or if you want you can always disable this last overlays and preview only this new one, and later we can back this. So if you now press space, this should be a little faster. This green line means that this is loaded, so we need to wait a little. And if you want to preview this in real time, we can just back this here and press space again, and now this is real time. Okay, for my opinion this animation is little too slow, so we can always speed up. If we add change this to 50%, this will be double faster. Okay, this is better now. Okay, and I want to repeat this every maybe 10 or 20 seconds, and I can now pre-compose this with right click and move all attribution to new composition, and we can call just this VHS drift. And now if we go double click with this and open this composition, we can see that this is also about 3 minutes, and we can go with Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and we can duplicate this few times. And now I will just spread this up in our timeline, and if we back to our composition, we can, if we press space, we can see that this will repeat in our composition few times. Okay, we have one here. I forget one thing which is important. We need to set this to screen blending mode. Okay. So we can also use this to displace our footage. So I will go to main footage and effect control. And I will search for displacement map here. And now we can use this VHS drift as displacement. And you can see that this already works because this displays our footage, and we can see, we can for example just bring intensity here to see better how this affects. And I will use this warp pixel around option to add color here, and you can see how this look. So if we use this VHS drift footage, this composition, to displace our footage. And now this is not just color, this affect to this main footage. Okay, and this is nice, but this is too intense, so I will back to main footage and I will maybe use only 3 pixels of this. So this is horizontal and this is vertical, and I will also bring this down. Maybe we can creep back this to 5 pixels. And to avoid these edges here, we can just scale this maybe 1%. And you can see this little drifts here. It's not too intense, but it's I think this is nice detail. And now we can also back this color input and all these overlays. I think this one is good, so we can try also make displacement with this footage here. So let's bring this footage in our project. I will bring this, I will disable this for now, because this slow down our footage, and you can see that this is so short. So we can go right click, interpret footage, main, and let's loop this 22 times. It's still not enough, so 44 times. And now we can just bring this here and we can pre-compose this. Let's call this VHS static loop 2. And now we can go to main footage and let's just add another displacement map, and let's use this new one. So VHS static loop 2 as displacement. And let's now disable this in our preview and in from color input, and now we can see that this should affect to our footage, and I will increase this maybe to 20 to see how this look. And I will disable this first one for now just to see this one. And you can see that we get all these glitches here. And I think this is a nice effect, but too intense, so maybe we can keep this on only 5 pixels or 3. And let's scale this footage maybe 1 pixels more, so 102. And now you can see that this is a subtle effect, but we see all this little distortion here on these edges. Okay, this is example how you can use displacement maps. And we can also use this in our color input. Just set this to screen This is too intense, so maybe 20%. Before we continue with overlays, I will first bring opacity of these layers. There it looked too intense, so if you want to skip to this keyframe, you can just click on this button left or right, and here is 40%. I will bring this maybe to 25, and this look okay. So here is only 10%, and I will also bring opacity of this VHS static loop. So I will set this maybe to 25. Next overlay we will use here is from Premium Beat, and you can copy this link here. And you can download this pack from this link, and let's see what we have here. So you get these assets here. We don't need this aspect ratio because we use original VHS resolution, and when we export and add this video on YouTube, you will get these black bars on left and right. So I will now use this static video ascent, and you can see that this is shortened than 1 second. And let's import this in After Effects, and now we can put this here, and you can see how short is this. So we need zoom this timeline to see this here. And let's now bring our cursor here, and let's see how this look. So I will press S to scale this and scale this down, and let's also set this to screen blending mode. And I will press T to bring opacity, and I will set this to 50%. And now I will just pre-compose this. So right click, move all attribution in new composition, and now I will go with double click here, and so we can now go with Ctrl C and Ctrl V and double this few times. And now we can spread this on our timeline. You can see one here, and another is here. And we get this nice effect. And we need set also this to screen blending mode. And we have here VHS grain overlay, and I will also bring this here and to our timeline. And I will press S to scale this down. And because this is short, we need to interpret this. So interpret footage main, and I will set this here maybe 15. And now we have now we cover all our timeline. Because this overlay is mostly gray, we need to use this overlay blending mode. So if you want to remove white colors from your overlay, you need to use this spec here. To remove black colors, we use this spec here, and to remove gray overlay, mostly we use this overlay blending mode. This is very subtle effect, so this is before and after. But if we add levels here, we can tweak this overlay. Let's isolate only this overlay, and if we tweak this, we can get more information here. So you can see how this look. I will not use these levels too much, but we can increase little visibility with this slider here. So let's now see how this looks in our composition. Okay, let's just for test make more contrast here. And you can see how now this is visible. And because we have here 5 or 6 these overlays with the screen blending mode, we can recompose all of them. So select first one and hold shift, and we can select all this, and now we can go with pre-compose, and I will call this just overlays. Now we can always back here and change something if we need, and of course we need set this to screen blending mode. And last video overlay pack we have here is from Max Novak. You can find him on YouTube, and you can download this video pack from this link here, and this is what you get. So you get a lot of these overlays, and you can look at them and you can find what you like, but there is a lot of things you can find here, and I think I will use this one. So if you look at my Poolrooms video, you can know that this is a start of my video. So what we can do here, we can bring this in our overlay folder, and I will now make this, move this, select all this, and I will now make more space at start, and I will move this little on right, and now I will set this overlay here and first scale this down. And let's move our cursor here and let's find something interesting. So if we move this on left, we can find something we can use for beginning of this video. Okay, maybe we can use this detail, and let's see how this looks. Okay, let's use this part. So to cut this, you can go with Ctrl, Shift and D. And now we split these layers, and I will now delete this part we don't need. And I will now set here also screen blending mode. And now we can see little background here, and let's see how this looks. And now we get this interesting start. And maybe you can use also this fast overlay. Let's see how this looks. And let's scale this up, and let's try with screen blending mode, and you get this effect. We can keep this, but not too intense like this, so I will press T and I will bring opacity maybe to 50%. And there is one thing you need to be careful, because we disable all these overlays here. We need back this. Okay. I think we little overkill with this, all these overlays, and maybe we can press T and bring opacity of this folder to maybe 60%. And we are done with this overlay, so you can download them from these links and you can play with these overlays. And let's now add halation effect. So halation effect basically add red glow around highlights or edges, and this is effect we can find in old cameras, and because this VHS is old camera, let's try create this now. So first I will go with new adjustment layer, and I will first go with find edges effect, and we can see how this looks. So I will first disable this to make this faster, and now I will go with tint because I want to convert these two edges to red color. I will select this red color, but I will go more with orange. Okay, and now just invert this. And now I will go with levels because I don't want too much red color here, so I will just bring this, no, this one, to make more contrast. And now I want blur this, so I will go with fast box blur, and I will set maybe here 10. This is too much, so maybe 5. And let's make this more orange. We need to remove these black colors here, so I will go with screen blending mode. And you can see before and after. So this is before and after. We add basically this red color on these edges. But let's play more with this, so I will make this to normal. And let's go with curves to increase this a little, and I will maybe make this fast box blue to 3 to get more sharp this and more intense this red color. And let's now see with the screen blending mode. And you can clearly see these red edges here, so let's see before and after. And I think this is too intense, so I will bring opacity maybe just to 30%. So now this is just subtle effect, but we can see this red color here. And next we can add this little lens flare. So when we come here, we look on this windows and this window, and we can make a lens flare here. So I will go with new adjustment layer, and I will rename this to lens flare. And if you search here for lens, I will first show you one paid option if you want. So it is called optical flare, and we have a lot of these flares here. If you want, you can search for this add-on, and you can choose a type of this lens flare here. And now we can use this screen blending mode, and you get this lot of options here. There is free option here in After Effects, is called lens flare. So we can bring this here, and you have 3 types here, so you can search between different lens type, but I will use this first one, and let's see how we can use this here. So I will first open this effect here, and because we will add some keyframes here. First I will I will add here 0% of this brightness because we don't need here this lens flare, so I will set this to 0. And then no, first check that this stopwatch is enabled, so we can add keyframe here. Okay, and now I will also bring this 0 to about here, and now when we look to this window, I will add here maybe a maximum value of maybe 30%. Okay, let's first add this to this window, so flare center to this window, and I think this is maybe low, so let's try with 50%, and you can see that this lens flare here. Okay, and now when this window disappear, I will also back to 0. So we have only this lens flare on this area. You can see this here. Okay, let's bring this intensity maybe to 70%. And you can see what we have here. You can see this lens flare here. And one thing I will do here, I will try follow this window here. And I will also click on this stopwatch here. So we can add the position of this, we can follow position of this window. I will change position of this flare center here, and now I will try follow this window. Okay, now I will click here, and now I will try follow position center of this window. Next keyframe is here, next is here, and I will go maybe 2 or 3 frames more and just try follow center of this window. Okay, this is enough because here is opacity is only 8% and here is now 0, and that means that this is not more visible, and let's see how this looks. And we get this nice effect here. Okay, this is how you can add this lens flare, and let's now add chromatic aberration effect. I will again right click here and new adjustment layer, and I will call this chromatic. And if you search here, you can find chromatic aberration effect, but I think this is not so good effect. You can see how this look little weird. We can use this a little of this effect. If we go close to 0, we basically remove this effect. So I will go maybe with -5 here. Here maybe just 5, and here maybe just 10. And now we have this small value of this chromatic aberration effect. To increase this chromatic aberration effect, I will go with channel blur. And now basically we can blur different color channels. So we have here red, green and blue, and we don't want blur all 3 channels because then we will get classic blur. So I want blur only maybe red and blue one. So I will go with maybe 15 on red, and you can see how this look. And I will go with blue maybe with 22. I think this is too much, maybe 10. So this is before and after. And let's bring this resolution to full to see better what we have here. And maybe last one thing here is color correction. So I will add new adjustment layer and I will call this CC for color correction, and I will place this on top. And let's now go with Lumetri color, which is main color correction tool in After Effects and Premiere Pro. And there is one problem I didn't note. Because of this lens, we set this to screen, this lens flare effect. We get a lot of bright color here, so I will back this to normal. And we can see how this lens flare effect look if we go here. Where is our window? We get this problem. This part here is too bright. So we can just select this lens flare and we can just add simple mask to keep only this part of lens flare and to remove this bright part here. And now we can back to our color correction and let's see what is VHS main characteristic. So first I want to fade this. So I will bring this maybe to 100. This is too intense, so I will maybe bring this down maybe to 80. Okay, and now because we lose a lot of contrast here, I will bring contrast to 100. I think this is also intense, maybe 60. And I will bring these whites down maybe to minus 50. And I will also bring vibrance down maybe to minus 20 to fade these colors here. And next I will go with unsharp mask. And now we will back a lot of detail with this, so I will maybe increase this to 20 or 50. Now I will back this to 30 and maybe we can play with this value here also. And this is before and after. And I think I maybe overkill with this. So I can later easy bring opacity down with this, but I will now try add maybe more sharpness here. And maybe we can use maybe just 20 here, and you can play with this tone, so shadow tint and highlights. I think more vintage color is green and purple, so I will try add purple color here, and you can see how this look, and you can play with these colors here. And I think this is too intense, so we can add just a little purple color in highlights and green in shadow. Okay, so this is before color correction and after. And if this is too intense, you can always go with T and you can bring opacity maybe to 50%. And this is before or before post-processing, and this is after. We are done with this tutorial. We are here more about 1 hour, I think, and this is too much. And just to know that you don't need to follow exactly this process. You can always play with overlays, and you can tweak this color correction values, and maybe you can get better result than I get. And when I do last time this, I also get a different result, and it's all about tweaking these settings. So you can always play with all these settings. Thank you for watching and see you in next tutorial.